What if I told you that your brain reacts to feedback in exactly the same way that reacts to a threat of a wild animal? Yes. Imagine your boss calls you and says, "Come from my office. I need to give you feedback from the project that you've participated, that you were responsible for." Your brain doesn't see any opportunity for learning. Your brain sees danger in front. I want to go out of that. Today, I'm here to explain to you why that happens. And not only that, to give you a new way of how we can recalibrate the way that we give and receive feedback, taking insights from neuroscience, the science of the brain. I'm Alexandros Psychogios. I'm professor of organizational psychology, organizational behavior, and human resource management in Loughborough Business School. And among other things, what I like to do is to collect human brains. Well, not literally. But what I mean is that I try to investigate, to search how the brain behaves at work. Along with a group of other researchers from a variety of different places around the world, we try to give answers of how managers and employees, people inside organizations, behave the way that they behave. The answer lies on our evolution and, of course, on our brain. And we try to utilize on this knowledge, trying to see how we can rethink about leadership primarily, and in particular about feedback and other things that we're interested in. So let's make a first stop on leadership. Let's understand what leadership is. For many years, we think that leadership belongs only to one person, usually we call a leader. Nowadays, we know that a leader is just one part of what we call leadership. Leadership requires at least two. It's a social phenomenon. So the follower is almost equal as the leader in the leadership process. And if someone will ask me, where can I see leadership? I wouldn't say to him or her, you can see leadership if you observe the leader or the follower. What you need to do is to observe the interaction between the two, because leadership is a relational process. Exists in the relationship between the leader and the follower, and it's not happening in a vacuum, but it's happening in a specific context. Every single time the situation is different, which makes the leadership process very challenging, very difficult, very unpredictable. So the human brain that likes everything to be predicted, asks himself, herself, what am I doing here, either as a leader or a follower? Do I belong here? What can I do in order to perform better here? This is what brain asks. And the question is how we can understand this better. And it's exactly the point that neuroscience can give us a new way to understand that. Neuroscience can give us a new language to understand how leaders behave, how employees, followers respond the way that they respond. And of course, how the context, the environment that all of us, we work together, we collaborate, influences this interaction, this relational process. Our brains evolve not to thrive in performance reviews, but actually to survive. We need to understand that. We are still at that point. Our brains need security. We need to maintain our status. We need autonomy. If we achieve these needs, then dopamine released in the brain and learning opportunities are opening. If we feel threatened, then cortisol is all around the place inside our brain and our bodies and would like to be protected. So the question is what we can do, how we can recalibrate this. The first thing that we need to understand is how the evolution of our brain influences the way that we communicate, because in reality, feedback is communication from human to human, how we can become better. The first thing that we need to remember is that everything is about survival for the brain. The brain doesn't care if you are a CEO, a CFO, or a UFO in an organization. What the brain does care about is to keep you alive, and will do whatever it takes in order to achieve this target. The brain does this mainly, number two, through threats. Oh, unfortunately, yes. Threats are stronger than the rewards. Why? Simple. Because we have learned to survive mainly through threats. Rewards are also very important, very useful, and rewards are opening learning opportunities. So we need to move feedback towards rewards, not to see it as a threat. But how we can do that? I will explain that in a while. Number 3, the brain needs certainty. Or to put it differently, the brain doesn't like uncertain things. So if feedback gives us something that it is new, something that changes the way that we behave, we are going to reject it. We're going to react negatively on it. And we need to understand that. It's a reaction of the brain, not a bad attitude that we have as human beings. The brain, our brains, conserves energy. A lot of things that we do every single day are in autopilots. The brain is a wise organ, doesn't put us to think about everything. But you know, these autopilots, they create our comfort zones. And comfort zones create safety, security. We know the path. And if feedback comes and usually wants to kick us out of this path, we feel that something is changing. We feel that we're losing more energy, and the brain doesn't like this. At the same time, number 5, the brain likes easy solutions. Simple things. Not to be confused. Confusion, it means insecurity, not safety, not survival at the end of the day. If the feedback, if the communication is confusing, is complex, then the brain will reject it, will react negatively on it. But the good news are coming with number 6. This beautiful ability of the brain to modify part of itself that we call neuroplasticity. Yes, our brains, your brains, are plastic. They can learn. And this is exactly where feedback is hidden. This is exactly when we need, through that, to recalibrate the way that we provide and we receive feedback. But let's understand what is feedback. Feedback is not criticism, is not praise or judgment per se. You know, feedback in reality is exchange of information. Information that we need to understand where we are, what we do. Feedback is instructional and motivational. It gives us the way or the ways that we can improve what we do. But at the same time, motivational, how to become more engaged. But do you know what research suggests? No matter how much feedback you receive, what it does matter is how you receive it. So if feedback delivery is poor, your performance goes down 30%. Just because it's not that it was the wrong feedback, it was the right feedback, but the delivery of the feedback was not the appropriate one. If the delivery of the feedback is good, then performance expands. Then we understand what we need to do. Then we become friendly with this ability to become better. And this is what it does matter. So let's understand why feedback matters and actually why delivery of feedback matters. First of all, because through that, we have learned to survive. Not now, thousands of years now. Our pre-ancestors, they used feedback in order to learn. Eat the berry. Fire, hot but useful. Tiger, beautiful but bad. But also nowadays, in our modern societies, within our modern organizations, feedback, communication is extremely important in order to understand the gap between where we are and where we would like to be. That's also very important. So feedback gives us purpose. Purpose to do things, to perform, and of course to bring results. But the question is, if feedback brings all of these positive things, why we see it in a negative way? The majority of us, if not all of us. The answer is hidden in neuroscience, in our brains. I can give you some arguments here. Because feedback, the brain perceives feedback as a social threat. And the impact is exactly the same with the physical threat. A harsh word from your manager can have the same response from your amygdala, a very important part of your brain, exactly the same as when you see a snake in the grass. Oh yes, your face flushes. Imagine the snake. Your heart beats, and definitely you want out of here. You don't want to say, nice snake. It's exactly the same with feedback. People said to us, when they had an experience of an uncomfortable conversation with their managers, with other peers in their job, do you know what they remember? They remember how they felt, not what was said during the discussion, which is extremely important to understand that. I wasn't feeling good during the discussion. I was feeling stressed, nervous. I wanted out of there. Do you know why? Because I was receiving things that actually make me to believe that I'm not good. We call this phenomenon as cognitive dissonance, which is actually the gap between where we think that we are and where we actually are. I believe that I'm good. What this guy tells me that I'm not? Of course I am. Why should I accept his or her opinion? And then we become more defensive, fight, flight mode. More defensive. We want to actually skip the situation, this unpleasant situation. It's not a bad attitude. It's practically neural protection. Our brain protects us, protects our status, who we are. So the question is, can we do something about it? And here's the point that I have some good news. A lot of us believe that we learn how to receive feedback primarily in a top-down mode. All starts from our early years. First we receive feedback from our parents, our teachers, other relatives, academic professors, our bosses. So the idea is, what if I change that a bit? What if I make feedback to start not from the feedback giver, but from the feedback receiver? Research shows that when people, all of us, we go and ask for feedback, you know what is happening? We are much more open. We are prepared even to accept negative information about what we do because we asked it. We asked for it. It's so simple. We didn't let anyone tell us that I'm going to give you feedback. I want some feedback from you or what I do. Automatically, dopamine is all over the place and learning opportunities all over the place as well. So it is important to try to create, to cultivate this type of environments within the places that we work together or even within our social groups. It is extremely important to create this culture of asking for feedback. So the next question is how we can do that. Well, always I say, step by step. Start small. Low-stake topics. How was your meeting? Was your food okay? The lights? I know, they sound trivial, but your target is to make the brain get used of this exchange of information. To make the brain don't see any danger in front, but to see opportunities. And step by step, you can build trust. And you can make people, including yourself, say, we are safe here. I can say my opinion, and I can be heard by others. In our research, we did a step further. The question is how we can facilitate even more this process of asking for feedback, this brain-friendly, brain-adaptive feedback process. And we ended up with 3 suggestions that I also suggest to you. Number 1, prefer informal rather than formal ways of communication. Informalize, as I like to say to the managers that I train in a variety of places around the world. Informalize the environment. How you can do that? Don't call me in your office. Call someone in your office. It's a pure demonstration of your authority, formal thing. Walk in the corridor. I would like to tell you something. Or let's go for a cup of coffee. I have something to discuss with you. Your target is not to make them happy. Your target is to make them feel comfortable, relaxing, not in danger, not in a threat situation, and to give them the opportunity to learn. Number 2, be specific. From scratch. Okay, you can warm up a little bit the place. What happened yesterday with a game, Real Madrid against Barcelona or whatever, but not overdo it. You don't want to confuse them. You don't want to confuse the brain. Brain can be easily confused. What does he want to tell me right now? Why we need to discuss these things with him, with her? To the point. Help him, her, to understand how he or she can learn further. And number 3, during the discussion, explain the benefits that the person can have after listening your suggestions, your recommendations. You know, we are living in the era of explanations. One of the things that I say to my students, especially executive MBA students, is that the period of time that we say someone do something because I say so has passed forever. Do something because. So explanations, they can give us the ability to understand, okay, if I'm going to do that, then this is how it is connected with what I'm doing overall, and this is how I can support my team and overall my organization, my department, my groups of people, my friends, my family. Ladies and gentlemen, as I like to say about leadership, leadership is too important to be left to leaders. I say exactly the same thing about feedback. Feedback is too important to be left only to feedback givers. All of us, leaders, followers, people, team members, we have something to say and exchange information and progress and learn from each other. Because at the end of the day, leadership is not about place control, but leadership is about creating opportunities. And feedback, it's something through which we can create these opportunities of learning. So the next time that someone will say to you, can I give you feedback about this? Take a deep breath, smile, and say, yes, of course, but can I ask you for yours first? For yours first. Thank you very much.